See how far I can go. Yes, get nervous. I like audiences. All right. Good morning! Oh, I didn't have to do that twice. That's awesome. All right, well, let's get that picture out of the way. Hello. All right, so welcome to Creative Mornings. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to Creative Mornings for inviting me to do this. It's such an honor to be able to come in front of you today and speak about restarting and how we can increase our creativity in our world every day. Because this is Creative Mornings, sorry, I'm right-handed. Because this is Creative Mornings, when we look at the word restart, it can mean a lot of different things. So we had people standing up to say that they've restarted their career, for example, or they would like to restart their career. But because this is Creative Mornings, I really want to focus in on creativity and how do we get that spark back? Because a lot of us get into a career after going into, graduating from high school and that, and we were good at art, we were good at theater, writing, and then we end up in a corporate job or working for the government and not doing exactly what we want to be doing. So we're going to look at that today. So the first thing we're going to do is right now, how many of you are doing what you love? Okay, that's a good number. Congratulations, that's awesome. All right, so most of us in this room here, we work in the field of communications, delivered through the process of creativity and problem solving, okay? So that's what we do, that's what our job is. Lots of us come to this industry through fine arts. Like I said, from high school, we could draw. And when it came time to choose a college, it came to, okay, well, now I've got to get a job, right? So as young kids, they're like, oh, they're so artistic. Look at this picture that Rob drew. I put it in a frame. I went to IKEA and got a frame, put it on the wall, and every time everybody comes over, they, oh, look what Rob did. Okay, until high school. And it's not cute anymore. And it's like, that's great, dear, but what are you going to do for a job? How are you going to make money, right? And it's because we're in this world that's been defined by people who are fairly, not creative or in past ideals. So I'm going to take this is from the briefing for this morning, and this is from Creative Mornings. So restarting is essential. It's a way to reflect and cultivate self-awareness and remind ourselves that life is to be enjoyed. It's refreshing and feeds greater intention and momentum in our creative endeavors. Okay, so we go back to drawing at school and that gave us pleasure and that gave us joy. And then we move into a career where we're doing this for other people, making money for other people, and we lose a bit of that joy. So restarting creatively means reigniting, re-engaging, and realigning. So we need to channel that joy, that passion that we had when we were younger, and find a way to fit it into our daily lives. Because a lot of us, again, aren't having that fulfilled during the day. So what's holding you back, right? Well, I'm 40, I can't play in a band. I can't write a book. I had bad grades in high school, true story. There are much better artists out there. Show of hands, right? Okay. What will people think? Right? You're not a cute kid anymore. Really? You're painting? What's that all about? All right, so in most cases, it's perception, it's influences or insecurity. We revert to our conditioned and familiar world that's defined by old norms and ideals. So again, moving from pleasurable art and passion when we're younger into you have to have a job. You need to make money. And of course we do, but we unfortunately are steered in different directions. So, I hate microphones. When you hear hoofbeats, think of horses, not zebras. Okay, this is a statement that is taught to medical students, mainly for ER, for triage. And the idea is when somebody presents in the ER with stomach pain, don't think of colon cancer all of a sudden. It might be something that they ate, right? So it's don't complicate things. Keep it simple and straightforward. And that's the trap that we run into while we stop doing our art for personal reasons, while we don't pursue a career in the arts, and that is we overcomplicate it. And there's so many words that we use that have baggage that we've got to get rid of. And once we get rid of those, then we have that, and a lot of us need the permission to pursue these things. So creativity. This word is immensely loaded with baggage. Creativity. So for people who aren't particularly, and let's all admit, everybody's creative, okay? Everybody is. It's just a matter of how you present it. But this word is really loaded with misconception, and the biggest thing is that you've got to be 100% original to be creative, and that's what stops a lot of people from going into art as an adult, or going into writing as an adult, or going into theater as an adult, because they figure I've got to be 100% original. If I'm not being creative, which is crap. Okay, these are 3 books. And then he said crap, it was pretty funny. These are 3 books, okay, by well-known authors that tackle this particular problem, okay? So we've got Steal Like an Artist, The Icarus Deception, and Real Artists Don't Starve. And there's many more books out there about this. But essentially they're about no art is 100% original. And we can all agree that everything's pretty much been done now. It's just more up to interpretation. It's about putting your own voice to something. For example, Andy Warhol, Steve Jobs, considered innovators, creative people. Okay, nothing that Apple has created was 100% original. They just made things better. The mouse and the desktop existed. Xerox created it. Steve Jobs appropriated it and made it better. The smartphone made it better. All of these things existed. Andy Warhol's entire career is based on reproducing existing things. Marilyn Monroe, he didn't even take the photos. Okay, Campbell's soup can. We all get a nice warm feeling when we see that, right? Yeah, so. I may have gotten up on stage last night and sang a Neil Young song, and I probably shouldn't have, knowing that I was going to be here this morning. So I'm not going to do that. But okay, so we get a really warm feeling. Yes, and some of you are like, yes, and maybe you shouldn't have gotten on stage. So we get a really warm feeling, and this is like, it's The Lion King, right? Like, we love this movie, okay? But the reality is, it's Hamlet, but with lions. That's what it is. And I had the greatest discovery where I went, oh my God, Timon and Pumbaa are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And they totally are. And it was amazing to me, right? So again, this is something that we all go, oh my God, that was wonderful, right? But it's totally Hamlet. While we're speaking about Mr. Shakespeare, okay, one of the most innovative writers that we know to this day, except Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Henry V, King Lear, Macbeth, Julius Caesar, All's Well That Ends Well, and The Two Gentlemen of Verona are all based on pre-existing stories or poems. They're not original. He didn't write the stories. He breathed life into them. He gave them interesting characters, their voices, the settings, and applied his style to it. But these are all pre-existing stories. And he's got so many more. All of his histories, obviously, were based on histories, right? But Romeo and Juliet was a poem. Hamlet is based on a history of Dutch king. And actually, Hamlet is an anagram for the actual person that it's based on. I don't have time. Bullshit. You do have time. Okay, you're just not committing. If you love something enough, if it's that important to you, you're going to find the time. I don't care what it is or when you're going to fit it in, but if you love it enough, if it's that important to you, you're going to find the time to do it. Okay? And if you don't have the time to do it, then reassess it. Think about it. Is it really something that you're passionate about? And you're just looking for a way of putting it aside. Process. As artists and as communicators, we love process. It's all about the process, right? It's getting there. So we get overwhelmed by the perceived enormity of a project or a goal. I'm going to write a book. Holy crap, have you seen how long books are? There's 50,000 words in a book. That's a big number. Okay? So chunk it down. Most of us enjoy the process. So research, choosing a medium, tone, approach, colors. Okay? While the end result is satisfying, we're more fulfilled by the process. That's where we learn. That's what we enjoy. Right? It's problem solving, saying, okay, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to write a book. How do I do that? How do I break it down? You know what? I'm going to do an art show. I'm going to have a show at a gallery. So how do I get that done? Well, I need a theme, I need a style, I need to find a gallery. These are all the fun parts, right? Building it. Accountability. This is why things don't get done. Okay? We all have at least 20 projects that are half done, that are kind of started, that are earth-shattering, but I didn't really write it down, right? So why is that? Because we're not accountable. Now, at work, we're totally accountable. Clients, bosses, projects, we all have deadlines. We get shit done. So why don't we do that for ourselves? Perspective and point of view. So, again, when we look at embarking on this, and it doesn't have to be a career change necessarily, it's just introducing it into your life. So it might be something you do on nights and weekends. But get that book written, get that play done, get that part in a movie. So you just need to look at, okay, what's the reality? How can I make this happen and not code it in all kinds of preconceived ideas and that? So re-engage with yourself, your beliefs, your desires, your goals. No one else will do it, so you need to get selfish, right? Nobody's going to do this for you, so you've got to take charge. This is wonderful. So ignore this side of the pillar. If we read this side, it reads, art is pointless. You have to go out and get an actual job and make a living. You can't just let the rest of your life be a joke, a failure. You will end up a starving artist. Contribute to society instead of wasting time. You're worthless. Now, this is perspective, right? So this is society telling you you can't write a book, telling you you can't do an art show, telling you that you can't have a photography career. Then if you include this side, and it's kind of ironic, left side, right side. So if we include this side, then it actually reads, art is pointless without passion. You have to go out and create art, get an actual job doing what you love, and make a living by being yourself. You can't just let other people define the rest of your life and say you will be a joke, a failure. Follow your heart. You will end up happy and free, not a starving artist. Love your art and contribute to society by inspiring people instead of wasting time letting others tell you you're worthless. You can change the world. That's a pretty amazing thing. This was an art project at the University of Texas, and it's just vinyl lettering on a pillar at the university. But this is the most beautiful thing that I've read in a long, long time. And just the concept of it, again, the right side, left side, and how it all comes together. Own your world, apply your creativity. Instead of psyching yourself out, chunk it down. Apply your own approach to what you want to do. We do this every day. We're problem solvers. We apply strategy for clients. Why not do it for yourself? Become your own client. Now, at this point in the presentation, you're all thinking, Gotham, really? Yes, stop looking at the font and start paying attention to what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with Gotham. Okay, so this is my restart. In 2017, I wrote a book. Nothing could be further from my path or experience than writing a book. It's insane for me to think that I've done it, and if you had told my 20-year-old self, I would have fallen over. There's no way. I'm the guy that almost failed. You know what? I think my grade in English was a gift because it meant if they failed me, I'd be back for another year. So I think they kind of went, you know what, 52, you're good. So I told my friends and family, accountability, right? Okay, I'm going to write a book. So I'm going to tell people I'm writing a book. Otherwise, I'd still be writing on a piece of paper and, oh, you know, I don't know, different ideas or whatever. But I took the moment to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to tell people, and not casual friends, family, friends that I see every day, people at work. So that conversation would be, oh, how's the book coming? Oh, good. I better get on that. So it really propels you forward. You become accountable, right? And you're like, shit, I gotta get this done. So when I told my friends and family, the first thing was I was surprised. I said, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, in what universe does that make sense? What do you mean that makes sense? And they said, no, you're gonna write a book about logos and, you know, branding and color theory or, you know, something like that. And I'm like, no, it's actually a self-help book, which really confused them. They're like, what are you talking about? It's just like logo therapy, branding depression, people sitting on your couch, you asking them how the color red makes them feel. But the truth was, I was suffering from depression. And in order to deal with it, and depression's one of those things, it's not like breaking an arm where you set it with a cast and it heals, right? Depression, again, is an obscure thing and you don't know, like, where's it coming from? Why do I feel this way? Why can't I get up in the morning? And for me, I needed to contextualize it. I needed a frame of reference. And being a horror fan, I took the idea of Frankenstein. Because to me, that really epitomized what I'd been doing. At the time, the depression was rooted in feeling like a failure as a parent. So I went to Chapters, and if anybody's been to a Chapters lately and you look at the self-help section, it's kind of like the Great Wall of China. It starts at one side of the store, makes its way all the way around. And I'm kind of standing there going, okay, well, first of all, I hope my neighbors aren't here, and secondly, where the hell do I start? So that was a bit of a daunting experience, but I persevered and I went through it. And what I discovered was, number one, there wasn't anything that spoke to me personally. Number two was they could all be categorized into two silos, okay? The first one was way too clinical. Okay, so cognitive therapy of depression, treating depression effectively. All right, these books are like a good 4 inches thick. And you feel like there's going to be a test at the end. And how much would it suck to fail a test about yourself? I'm like, okay, that's not for me. And then the second category, which made me the most angry, was everything's fine. It's all good. It's rainbows and ice cream and puppies. Don't worry about it. These people I wanted to punch, okay? Because everything wasn't all right. There were no puppies. I don't want a cupcake. And what the fuck is a unicorn? So this did not speak to me at all. So it became a situation of, for personal reasons, but also in my research, going through it, I discovered that if they don't have it, make it, right? So if I'm having this trouble finding a book that spoke to me, there's got to be other people that feel the same. So I needed to contextualize it for myself. Writing the first book was very cathartic, but it was also oh. Okay.
Okay, restart.
I'm gonna I will restart.
You want a cupcake?
Okay. No, I don't want a cupcake. All right, so the other funny thing was I discovered a third category of the books on depression. And they're brought to you by the letter F. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Okay? Do what you love. Where's my unicorn? Okay, so suddenly, and these, like, you know what? This is me looking at chapters, and I found these without even trying. Then I did a Google search. I went to the Indigo website and typed in the search titles that include the word fuck. Okay? 19,000. I'm not kidding you. Okay? And some of them were coloring books. Seriously. Fuck off, I'm coloring was one of them. So I'm like, okay, wow. Fuckology. That sounds scientific. So to me, this was frustrating because I actually started reading this one. And to me, it's lazy. All right? It is. It's a trick. It's a marketing thing. Okay, the book, Subtle Art, while there's some good points in it, they're masked in all of this bad language. And it's going against what the point of the book is. And like I said, it's provocative for the sake of being provocative as a cop-out. It's a marketing ploy. So I discovered Frankenstein, and the idea was that as a parent, I had seen the hockey family, I had seen the educational family, I had seen the family with the swimming lessons and all that, and I'd taken all of those, stuck them together into one parent, and then judged myself against that parent, which could never exist. And it took me a while to realize that. But when I did, recognizing that the hockey family, well, their kids didn't do very well at school because they were always at hockey. And the educational family, where the kids weren't in any sports. So I had to give myself permission to say, okay, I don't have to be all of those things. I need to decide what's important to me as a parent for my kids and follow that path and not kill myself doing it. So Frankenstein, these are actual dictionary definitions. A person who creates a monster or a destructive agency that cannot be controlled or that brings about the creator's ruin. And condition is the circumstances affecting the way in which people live or work, especially with regards to their safety or well-being. So this really resonated with me. So the book became The Frankenstein Condition. Now, I needed to own the process. And in this case, it meant that I was going to write the book by hand, because I write quicker when I've got ideas than I type. Also, I don't have to worry about my notebook finding Wi-Fi or running out of battery. So I can take it anywhere. And then somebody asked me, well, what do you do when you're not feeling creative? And I said, that's what's beautiful about this process, is when I'm not feeling creative, but I want to keep going with the book, I simply take the notebook out, grab my computer, and I transcribe what I've handwritten onto the computer into Word. And guaranteed 3 pages in after typing, I'm back into it. I'm feeling creative again. So that's understanding how I get things done and making the process work for me. I also have a dictation app on my phone. So when I'm walking my lovely dog, right? I can dictate, and that dictation becomes an email, and that email becomes a Word document that I can then organize, and it can spell for me. So all of this came together to help the book happen. Now, I'm a designer, right? So I wasn't even halfway through the book when I had a dummy made up, a blank on the actual stock. Physical side, number of pages. So I had this, and I've got a writer friend, and she just about lost it. She's like, no writer in the world ever does that. I'm like, I know, I'm not every writer in the world. But this, along with accountability and process, really propelled me forward. This sat on my desk while I was writing. This was my goal. So every now and then I'd pick it up and go, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing. It's going to be this. This is the size. It feels good in my hand. It's nice and light. I love the paper. Right? Such a geek. Then I met this gentleman, Bernie Wrightson. He's responsible for the monsters in Ghostbusters. He also created The Swamp Thing. He also illustrated most of Stephen King's books. He spent 7 years of his life illustrating Mary Shelley's Frankenstein as a personal project. And that's what inspired me along the way when I was doing this. They're incredible illustrations. And so when it came time to put the book together and I knew illustrations needed to be in it, I started thinking about who can I get to illustrate it. And I thought, well, why don't I just reach out? Worst case, he's going to say no, and I'm back to where I started from. 4 emails later, he said, yep, you can use my illustrations, which was incredible to me. This is what I'd sent him, one of his illustrations and just a brief outline, and back and forth, and he said, you know what, absolutely. Now, sometimes the universe can be a strange thing and make you finish projects. And so in my case, the universe was keeping me accountable, apparently, because a week after I got the permission to use his illustrations, he passed away. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, so this was probably the last project that he greenlighted. And he also was enthusiastic about it because it was a nonfiction book about helping people deal with depression. And he really liked that idea. So I'm like, okay, I have to finish the book now, which was kind of awesome. 2 weeks later, after his passing, I was watching Walking Dead Season 7, last episode, blank screen, this episode dedicated to Bernie Wrightson. So I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I will finish the book. Don't kill anybody else. And it really happens. I'm like, okay. So this is the book. Bernie's illustrations, fun typography, Minion, if you're asking. And so I had a physical piece out of all of that process. It took a year, and I met my deadline. I'd set November as my book launch, and I made the deadline, and there's more. Bernie illustration, which is great. Each chapter starts with a quote from Mary Shelley's book that pertains to that particular chapter. So how did I get this book done? So if we go back to what I was talking about earlier, the creative side, remember The Lion King? Well, this is self-help, but with Frankenstein. Process, reinterpreting the writing process and making my own. Accountability, I included people around me, not casual acquaintances, work colleagues, friends, and family. I set a date for the book launch. I don't have time. This wasn't a problem because I made writing fun and engaging, something I wanted to do. I look forward to doing every night. And perspective. I didn't have to live like Hemingway in order to write a book, although it did sound kind of fun. Okay, so the challenge. Can you commit? Are you ready to do what it takes to restart? Will you take the pledge? If you are willing and able, please stand. What am I agreeing to? Everybody who's standing will be buying me a lunch. That should take care of the year. All right, are we ready? Left hand on your heart. Right on your left. Left on your right. Do the hokey pokey. Okay. Was it right on the heart? Right on the heart. Raise your other hand. Wave it like you just don't care. All right. I promise to re-engage, reignite, and to restart. And I mean it. Okay, you can sit down. All right. Next level. I have 5 books. That many. But you have to work for it. I want 5 people to come up here and make themselves accountable to the group that you're going to commit to doing something. And I'll start. My name is Robert Smith.
Hi, Rob.
That was good enough. No. And I commit to writing a book, second book, and launching it before July 2019. Okay? And you're all here, so now I am super accountable. Right? So, does anybody else want to come up, face the group?
My name is Tom Dreesen. I'm an architect. I've released one pro bono urban design study, and I commit to releasing one pro bono urban design study each year for the next 5 years.
Here we go.
Okay, hi, I'm Laura. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to commit to, but right now I'm in this period of transition, I'm journeying, and one thing that I am endeavoring to do in the spirit of restarting, something that I want that doesn't exist, I'm like, well, I'm going to make it. And it's for musical theater enthusiasts like myself who love dance and want to do it in a fitness way, so it's called Broadway Workout. Right? Thank you. So, just seeing your way to fitness. And basically, if you guys want to go to facebook.com/Broadway Workout, we have an event on December 13th. We're piloting it to see if there's enough enthusiasm to do it regularly. And this first event is going to be held as a fundraiser for an international NGO, but all the details are there. And so I'm trying to restart by doing things that give me passion, and I've had a lot of fun trying to put this event together, so I hope to see some of you there.
A broken person.
Actually, I'm fixed. So I just did like a really cool project, a photography project, and I've never decided to really submit it to any publications or anything like that. So that's my goal, is to try to do something that is actually worthwhile with this series.
Two more.
So I'm Ian. I did art in high school, and then I got a university degree in accounting and practiced corporate tax for 35 years. And then I said, enough. I decided to restart. I've re-engaged my art. I've had 2 shows in New York. Some of you may have seen the coat that I wore here this morning. It was fun, so that's me. And so you can restart. It's not easy. Fun is doing the stuff. What's not fun is trying to make it really, really happen. But it can really happen. And so I commit to keep having fun by doing that art and trying to get it out there. That's what it is.
One more.
All right. My name is Alvaro. About 15 years ago, I wrote a book, or a children's story, called Circles and Lines, which was a creation of the creation myth of how spiderwebs got to look the way that they do. I've been sitting on it for about 15 years, so I commit that by this time next year, I will have a copy of it out in some way or another. And if there's any illustrators out there that would like to help, I'd love to talk to you.
That was great. So, thank you once again, everybody, for coming out. And I truly hope that you go home today and make a plan. Keep your pledge. I have the mailing list, so I will hunt you down. To invest in yourself. Okay? During the day, we spend our time making money for other people, solving problems for other people, and we leave ourselves out of that equation. So start including yourself in this, invest in yourself, whether it's as a new career or just something that you've always wanted to do but have put it off. So please consider doing that. And with that, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the ones that you did do.
That was incredible, Rob. Thank you. I really have to do work on my website now, so I'd say early 2019. I'll get back to you guys. So I'd like to open the floor to questions for Rob. If anybody has anything they'd like to ask, come on up. Or just shout it.
Deals on your book? Any Black Friday deals?
I have some books here. You know what? They're $20 on the website plus shipping, so we'll do 15 today. We'll do 10 today. $10 a book. I don't have many. Is that Black Friday enough? Yep.
When you were writing your book, did you try to build a platform or an audience alongside it, or did you wait until it was published?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The question is, did I write for an intended audience to build a platform? How did that come about, the story? So the first genesis of this was really personal. And it's one of those things when you're dealing with depression and stress and anxiety and issues, they can bounce around in your head. And as soon as you get them down on paper, they become real and they're staring at you, so you're kind of forced to deal with them. And it's a really good exercise to go through. So my first generation or edition of this book was strictly for myself, and then it became a bucket list thing, you know, check it off and make my mom happy. And that was the only intent. It was, I'm going to print a small amount of them, get them out there to friends and family, and that'll be the end of it. But what's happened is it's really gained a lot of attention, and I keep getting emails from people who are on their second and third reading of the book. And so that's propelled me to, now the audience has defined itself to me. And so that's where I'm at with the second book, is now writing to that. It's been a wonderful journey, it really has. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about how you created time for your passion? I know you kind of just said it will come, but as
Yeah.
a parent,
Yeah.
you know.
No, that's a great question. How did I find the time? And I'll be honest with you, it's not healthy in some cases. Because when I was working on some of these creative projects, I had two young kids, 4 and 6, ran my own business, but the kids never went to bed without story time. We went through the whole Harry Potter series, we did the whole Chronicles of Narnia series. So my rule was between 5 and 9 o'clock, nothing but family. And then after that was my personal pursuits. And during the day was keeping an eye on the business. So I would be writing and doing things after 9 o'clock till 1 in the morning, things like that. So like I said, not the healthiest, but it was something that I wanted to do. It wasn't an effort. I couldn't wait to get in front of the screen or in front of the paper and be writing, because ideas would have been coming up. And I'd be sending myself notes so that I could remember them when it came time to write. But I always, like I said, I always found time without sacrificing some of those other things.
We have time for one more question.
What was the dictation app you used? You went too fast.
Sorry, it's called Dragon.
What?
Dragon.
Dragon?
Dragon dictation.
Okay, thank you.
But anyways, yeah. So it's great. It learns your voice. It's much better than the notes thing in Apple, because, yeah, the voice recognition was awful, and I'd be reading it afterwards going, watermelon? When did I say watermelon? What does that have to do with breakfast? I don't know.